Great, welcome back. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about franchising from a franchisor's perspective. And I want to emphasize that opening a franchise chain, i.e. starting to license out franchisees, is not for every small business owner. It's something that should really be approached with an abundance of caution. And I would tell you, you're not going to solve all these things in one single video. If you actually think about doing this, definitely speak with your franchise attorney. Okay? There are a lot of really complicated regulations and rules that go with opening a franchise system, and a lawyer can speak to these things in a much more coherent way than I can. However, the first thing you want to look at, if you think you might be getting ready to open a franchise system, make sure that you have a firm that has a well-established cash flow, a well-designed business method, especially if you're looking to shoot for a business format franchise, a desire to grow, a shortage of cash flow, because that's important. That's one of the advantages of going into opening a franchise system, is you can bring in more money into your system while simultaneously also putting some of the financial burden on your franchisees. And of course, making sure that you have a strong trademark, a trademark that people want. Again, you think about like McDonald's. Why was that a perfect business to do a franchise for? Well, the McDonald brothers really understood how to make hamburgers. They understood the steps in the process. So the format of the business was really, really strong. Also, Ray Kroc liked the idea of that name McDonald. He liked the golden arches. He liked the whole system, the whole setup, the whole feel of it. That was something that he felt people would want, and that's why it was a desirable trademark. And of course, Ray Kroc also wanted to grow. Again, there's nothing that guarantees success or failure in any sort of a business venture, but if you don't have that strong format, that strong trademark, and that strong cash flow, your chances of success in theory will be reduced. So the things to look for in potential franchisees, I might give you some ideas, but these are kind of hokey because they're the same kinds of things that you look for with any manager or employee, right? You need somebody that's got a strong work ethic. You need somebody that follows instructions. You need somebody that can work with minimal supervision. The last thing you want are a dozen franchisees under you that all of a sudden they're calling you all the time because they can't figure out stuff. They need to have a team orientation, and they need some sort of experience in that industry. If you're going to hire a franchise owner for one of your franchise units, like let's say you're in the fast food industry, hire somebody that has been in the fast food industry, right? Don't hire somebody that's been in the automobile industry or an accountant or whatever. You want somebody with a lot of experience in that particular industry. Make sure that they have good credit history so that when there's good times and bad, they can survive those bad times. Make sure they've got some capital in reserve, financial capital. Make sure also that they can take your suggestions without becoming confrontational or aggressive. Now, the one thing that I think is the most important is they need to represent the franchisor in a positive manner. And I think about, I don't know if you ever watch Undercover Boss. I think this is so important. I remember watching this one, and it was featuring Hooters. And the manager of that particular Hooters was degrading the women in very, very bad ways. In one particular thing, he was tying their hands behind their back and making them eat beans and oink like a pig or something like that, in order so that they could get time off or something real weird like that. It was real bad, and I remember the franchisor, the owner of the Hooters franchise, he told that manager, he said, if I had a daughter, I would not want her to work at Hooters. That manager was not representing the Hooters franchise in a positive manner. And there was another one, I think it was Checkers maybe. And there was this manager, I mean, the way that he was speaking to and degrading his employees was horrible. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. And the owner of the franchise, the franchisor, was the undercover boss, and he was kind of like, maybe you shouldn't do that. And the guy was screaming at the franchisor, not realizing it, like he was the owner of the entire chain. And of course, the owner wound up firing that guy, and that guy, of course, started crying and stuff like that, which, was unfortunate, but kind of funny too, right? So make sure that they represent your particular franchise in a positive manner. Now, of course, there are some steps to setting up a franchise system. These are pretty similar to setting up any other kind of small business. Of course, you want to develop a franchise business plan, which is like a regular business plan except it's for your franchise, right? Get plenty of professional advice. Go to the SBA. Go to other franchise owners. Of course, now there's plenty of websites, blogs like, Unhappy Franchisor and some of these other blogs about franchise ownership. This is a great place for you to get some advice to figure out if this is something that's right for you. Also, that's again getting with your lawyer. Conduct an intellectual property audit to make sure that whatever you're doing does not in some way violate somebody else's trademark, patent, or copyright. That's huge. Okay? Then what you want to do is you want to develop all of your franchise documents, including your operating manuals. You want to have things set up so clearly that anybody, like an educated 12-year-old, can look at an operating manual and figure out exactly how to run your particular operations. Okay? This goes back to me being in the Army. If you don't know, you should be able to look it up in the manual or the regulation, right? And get people trained in referring to those manuals or regulations. Okay? You don't want them calling you at all hours of the night, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? Yes, you're going to have to train your franchise unit owners, but you also need to get them to think independently and use the manuals that you set up. And of course, that's contingent upon you to write good manuals, clear manuals, use diagrams. One of the things I always do when I write operating manuals, I don't even write like too much text. I use pictures of everything. So if it's like a form or something, I use the print screen function on your computer or a screen snapshot, and I take a picture of it and I stick it on one side of a PowerPoint slide, and then I have explanations on the other side, and I design them in such a way that you can have the document open with the SOPs step by step. If you're talking about a French fry fryer, take pictures of the French fry fryer at every step of the way. And now that we've got this wonderful thing like YouTube, especially the Dr. D University channel, you can also take videos of the SOPs step by step. And I do this for all sorts of things that's not even related to franchising, right? I was on vacation the other day. Well, not the other day. I was on vacation a couple weeks ago. And, well, what did my aunt do? She took my mom's vacuum cleaner and she's using it to vacuum up drywall. And of course, she tore the thing up, right? It wasn't her vacuum cleaner, it was my mom, so she didn't really care. But the point is, my mom finds out that her vacuum cleaner's not working. She's yelling, she's fussing, she's cussing, and she says, Dr. D, you need to fix that vacuum cleaner. And I said, I don't know anything about fixing vacuum cleaners. Like, what are you talking about? She said, well, you're going to fix it. And, I wasn't going to argue with my mom at that point. So what did I do? I looked up an operating manual on YouTube telling me how to fix a vacuum cleaner with a burnout filter step by step. I fixed a vacuum cleaner. I've never fixed a vacuum cleaner in my life. I was, same vacation. I don't know what she did, but she tore up the toilet. My mom says, fix the toilet. I'm not a plumber, Mama. Fix the toilet. Okay, I'll fix the toilet. I YouTubed the darn thing, and I learned how to replace the guts out of a toilet. I went to Home Depot, I bought the stuff, and then I fixed it within about an hour. I'm not a plumber. But again, that's because the videos were so simple, and you as a franchise owner need to do the same thing. Okay? Also figure out some sort of an advertising strategy. And of course, this goes back to having a strong brand. You need to have a strong brand that people want, right? Get that kind of, especially if it's like fast food, that craveable kind of product. So you need that strong brand. So have that strong brand, plan your advertising strategy around that strong brand. Of course, then you've got to get together some people to open your new units. Maybe there are people that are already working in your current system, and these are people that you can trust to be managers in your new system. Okay? You've got to make sure that you have some sort of a plan to get new franchisees at all times, because you've got to remember in business the only thing that is not moving is something that is dead. Okay? And then of course you need to be able to work with your franchisees to select those appropriate outlets. The other thing that you've got to remember, just because they're your franchisee owners and you trust them, then you hire them as managers, you as a franchise owner also need to be a good mentor and a good role model. Okay? You need to provide operating manuals that are up to date. Okay? When you get some sort of a new product or process, make those new operating manuals, make those new YouTube videos that show you how to do stuff step by step. Do whatever it is, but you've got to actually do it. You've also got to develop products and services that are up to date, modern, and match what your customers want. That's huge. Okay? Again, there are certain products people just don't want. So you've got to be willing to change to support what the franchise want. Now I'll talk about international franchising as our last video, but I always think about like McDonald's in France. The McDonald's franchisors are pretty smart because they've allowed the French to have certain products that cater to the French market a little better than they do the US market. I think of the 280 burger. One of my favorite burgers at any McDonald's. It's got like ciabatta bread, charolais beef. It's got like this kind of seasoned, oil, like olive oil on it. I think it's olive oil, I don't know. But it tastes really good. Not something you're going to find here. So they update the products. Of course, they also have beer and wine at McDonald's and fancy pastries and other things. But again, you've got to make sure, you've got to be able to solicit input from your franchisees to develop and keep your products up to date. Okay. Of course, you also need to do regular checkups. Again, training your franchisees and making sure that they're doing what they need to be doing. I mean, that's the whole point of that show, Undercover Boss, right? Bosses who have been kind of asleep at the wheel and they find their franchisees doing things they shouldn't be doing. Okay, that's real bad. But being a leader and getting out there will make all the difference in the world. Now the advantages. Let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of opening a franchise from a franchisor's perspective. Okay, you've got rapid, low-cost expansion. Again, your franchisees are going to bear a lot of those capital costs. You're also going to make money from franchise fees and royalties, and that's a pretty low-risk way to make money. Okay, you're also going to have, hopefully, motivated franchisees, motivated franchise owners, because again, part of agency theory, you're going to trust them to take care of that. That's their baby, that's their livelihood, and you're benefiting from their extra kind of oomph and motivation. Cost savings. A lot of franchises have it set up so that the franchisee may even have to buy the location. That's something you don't have to buy. And of course, when you have more units purchasing the stuff, purchasing the different products and everything, that gives you increased buying power. Looking at Porter's 5 forces, that gives you increased leverage over your suppliers. That's huge. Now the disadvantages are several. You've got to share profits, right? I mean, they're working hard, they deserve some of the profits. You'll lose some of that control. Again, thinking about that undercover boss example. Franchisees may not want to do it your way. They may want to do it their own way. Of course, managing growth, like there's that temptation to just overgrow. A lot of franchise systems collapse because of the fact they have multiple franchisees within close proximity of each other, and the franchisees wind up warring it out. That's bad for the brand, that's bad for the franchisees, that's bad for you, the franchisor, when all of your units close. Okay? There's also the idea of differences in business skills. Some franchisees are going to be really, really good to work with, and some of them not so much. So that's going to be something that you're going to have to consider. And of course, there's also huge legal expenses. Franchises are like this gigantic legal quagmire. There's so many issues that can go on in a franchise. I can't even begin to tell you all of them. But it's a costly system from a legal perspective. Well, great. I hope you have found this particular video interesting. Our next video, we're going to talk about franchising from a franchisee's perspective. Okay? These guys and gals down here. Great, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. And by the way, give me a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. Thanks, I'll see you in the next video.